Emergency situations trigger our adrenaline rush. When faced with danger, our built-in response systems push us to move, run, shout, cry, freeze, or stay still. Each of us respond differently based on the established coping mechanisms we grew up in. But one thing is for sure, we are all guilty of acting based on panic and impulsivity sometimes. This is valid since emotions come to us in unpredictable ways during unforeseen events. Clarity on perilous situations only occur once we have understood their nature, sequence, and impacts.
Welcome to Module 8, Lesson 2, Emergencies and Incident Reports. In this lesson, you are expected to first break down the parts of an incident report. Next is to determine the importance of incident reports in capturing experiences involving dangerous situations. Third, for you to examine how detailed statements for an incident report are written using the passive voice and past tenses, particularly simple past and past progressive forms. As established, this module aims for you to share your experiences with emergencies and dangerous incidents. In doing this, I hope you also get to see that transitional devices are here as your helping hands. They will surely aid you in narrating your insights with organization and cohesion. Remember, an incident report must be objective and one with the truth. To narrate with accurate cause and effect, here are the words that you may use. Because, consequently, therefore, hence, thus, as a result, due to, and others. Let's practice together. Due to cold temperatures brought on by the weather, many of us are suffering from coughs and colds. As you may notice, due to was used to highlight the cause of why many of the citizens suffered. Next, it rained heavily all night. This led to nationwide class and work suspensions. This led to was also used to refer to an effect brought upon by the heavy rain. To show contrast, here are the transitional devices that you may use. However, on the other hand, nevertheless, nonetheless, in contrast, conversely, still, despite, although, and even though. Let's use one in a sentence. Research works suggest that using microfibers in garment manufacture is terrible for the environment. However, various clothing companies choose to ignore this fact. In the given sentence, however is used as a device to introduce a contrast or contradiction. The first statement highlights the negative impact of using microfibers. The word however signals a shift in perspective or expectation, indicating that despite this negative info, various clothing companies choose to ignore the environmental consequences. It serves to emphasize the contrast between the research findings and the actions of some clothing companies. Sequence is important too. An accurate and truthful incident report must express correct order of events. First, next, then, afterward, meanwhile, eventually, finally, subsequently, at last, and later on. These are few of the words that you can explore. Let us put one into context. After washing the raw chicken pieces in the sink, Elaine then wiped the counter to prevent cross-contamination. The sentence used then to promote an accurate arrangement of the incident. Then highlighted that Elaine wiped the counter after washing the raw chicken pieces. At this point of the lesson, you may now have a clear grasp on how transitional devices are used in sentences. Let us now check how far you've come through this short grammar quiz. Let's start with the first item. Blank, the building's faulty wiring, the tenants have experienced a power outage. Which one is the correct answer? Is it A, conversely, B, since, C, later on, or D, due to? The correct transitional device is due to. Why? Because this one is used to indicate the cause or reason for the power outage, connecting the faulty wiring to the subsequent issue. Next, the initial inspection suggested that the building had no issues. Blank, a thorough investigation uncovered hidden structural damage. What do you think is the best transitional device? Is it A, immediately, B, likewise, C, hence, or D, however? The correct answer is letter B once again. The correct answer is however. Why? Because this one is used to introduce a contrast or unexpected result, indicating that despite the initial suggestion of no issues, the thorough investigation revealed the said hidden structural damage. Number 3. The employee failed to follow safety protocols. Blank, an accident occurred during the experiment. Is it A, in light of, B, as a result, C, since, or D, nevertheless? The correct transitional word is letter B, as a result. Why? Because this one is used to indicate the consequence or outcome of the employee's failure to follow safety protocols, showing a cause and effect relationship between the two parts of the sentence. Let us further elevate your grammatical skills by discussing the difference between the simple past and the past progressive tenses. But before that, let us try to figure out what voice is exactly when viewed in the perspective of grammar. Let us put it this way. An entire coherent essay is composed of paragraphs, right? Paragraphs are then composed of sentences. Sentences are considered complete and valid when they have clear subjects and verbs. In order for sentences to appear clear and enticing to read, it is recommended that we vary our construction based on its two voices, the active and the passive voice. Simply put, when a sentence is written in the active voice, the subject performs the action. In the passive voice, the subject receives the action. This is a sentence appearing in active voice. I was cleaning the sink. We see that the subject I of the sentence performs the action, that is, cleaning. Now, let's transform it into the passive voice. The sink was being cleaned by me. At this point, we observe that the action of cleaning is directed towards the subject of the sentence, which is the sink, with me as the one performing the action. Another one. Mom told me to wipe the counters with soap and bleach. This sentence is on the active voice because the subject, mom, is actively involved in the action of telling, and the sentence is centered around her as the doer of the action. In shifting this to the passive voice, it will appear as I was told by mom to wipe the counters with soap and bleach. You now see that the focus shifts from the doer of the action, mom, to the receiver of the action, me. By this point, you now see the important role of grammar in real-world situations. In order to capture finished events, the past tenses are used. However, it is important to note that this tense has few complex variations. At this part of your learning journey, you will now see the difference between the simple past tense and the past progressive tense forms. Let us start with the simple past tense. The simple past is a verb tense that tackles situations that are already done and finished. It expresses that an event has already passed. The classic rule of thumb is putting "d" or "ed" after regular verbs, such as walked, talked, grunted, and laughed. Meanwhile, certain irregular verbs are conjugated differently, such as see will be saw, fly will be flew, rise will become rose. Let's read the provided sample sentence. I watched a documentary film yesterday about Philippine volcanoes. The verb used appear on the past form, that is, watched. This expresses that the act of watching was done sometime in the past, specifically yesterday. What about the past continuous tense? This one is more complex than the simple past tense. Two events are being covered: the action that began in the past and the ongoing action. The conjugation requires you to combine the past tense of to be, which can be was or were, and the present participle of the verb appearing on the ing form. See in the diagram I am flashing in your screen. Event A is the action that began in the past. I was watching. And event B refers to the action that occurred. The phone rang. Now it's time to check your mastery on the two forms of past tenses. Let us start with the first statement. Last night, while I blanked dinner, I accidentally cut my finger. What do you think is the best conjugation for the main verb cook? Is it A, cooked, or B, was cooking? The correct answer is letter B, was cooking, because this tense indicates an ongoing action in the past. In this context, it communicates that the cutting incident occurred during the process of cooking, emphasizing the duration or continuity of the cooking activity when the accident happened. What about for the second sentence? As the storm blank, everyone hurried to secure their belongings. What will happen to the main verb approach? Is it going to appear on the simple past A, approached, or B, past progressive, was approaching? The correct letter is A. That's the correct answer. The use of approached suggests a specific point in the past when the storm was in the process of getting closer. This choice is appropriate because it describes the storm's action without focusing on its duration, fitting the context of a sudden event, prompting people to take action. Wonderful progress, learner! Now let us wrap up your total learning experiences for lesson number 2. First, transition words that denote cause and effect, sequence, and contrast, such as therefore, eventually, and on the contrary, helps promote your writing. Second, when a sentence is written in the active voice, the subject performs the action. In the passive voice, the subject receives the action. And lastly, the simple past tense emphasizes completed actions in the past, while the past progressive tense highlights ongoing or interrupted actions during a specific time frame in the past. To help you reflect on the aim of this lesson, you can browse the words inside the safety kit and pick the best 3 virtues that one should have when writing an incident report. I also want you to elaborate your reasons for picking these values. And when you do, I advise that you use the grammatical concepts that you have learned.
To delve deeper into these topics, I encourage you to explore the complete module available on Global English Competitiveness ebook for B2 learners. Once more, I am Miss Mediatrix Therese Argalero, your instructor for Lesson 2, Emergencies and Incident Reports. It has been a pleasure sharing this educational voyage with you. As you embark on your next phase of communicative growth, Lesson 3 awaits your exploration. See you there!